This channel is made possible by viewers like you. My viewers, subscribers, and patrons greatly help to keep this channel going. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for all of you. Please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any uploads. And if you'd like to go the extra mile, please check out my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you'll get access to what I'm working on, previews of upcoming content, and even early videos, along with other tier options for those that are interested. Thank you, and now on to the video. So I've been diving into a new indie shooter more now, and that one happens to be Anomalous. This is a really fun game. The developer understands what makes these classic titles so special to begin with, and then is able to create their own version of it. It has a great drive and fun minute-to-minute gameplay. You get in, get to the fun very quickly. There doesn't seem to be much fat here. It's concise and focused, and I very much appreciate that. It's the kind of direct action you might even be looking for. Anomalous is a title you should check out, and don't let this one get lost in the shuffle. I will always take the opportunity to praise a game's opening moments, to the point I will sound like a broken record for anyone checking out this channel often. A good to great beginning can very much make a game, set the game on the right path for the player, and present this solid piece of foundation to keep us coming back to it. I even relate this to demos as well. How you present your game, those opening moments, whether it be more story related or gameplay focused, it needs to compel the player to continue with that game. Even within this indie shooter space, we are now flooded with so many good options. If you don't give me a good enough reason to stay with it from the start, then I'm going to shift my attention towards something else. And when you nail it, you need to talk about it, because this type of stuff is what all games should honestly strive for. Hook the player right away. Anomalous very much does a good job with it. It's very old school and honestly reminds me of a raw form of how to start your game. You hit start and then you're off. There is no fancy presentation, cutscenes, or anything like that. It's boom, and now the player is in control. You receive a very limited tutorial, which is appreciated since while in a shooter, all you want to do is get to those shooting bits as fast as possible. Some stuff I appreciate is how the game does a good job and compels the player with that feeling like an older designed game. Within the first level, you get just a few guns to play around with, and better yet, if you have a good eye, you can find a secret shotgun that you can also play around with a lot earlier in the game. You are rewarded for seeking out optional paths and locations. Of course, the shooting is good as well, but all of these other elements mix in to compel the player, keeping them wanting to play this game over another one right now. I really like the variation in the level variety just seeing it within the first two levels. Now sure, the first level has exploration options as well, but it's more of an A to B affair. This is a good choice for your first stage. Present the shooting action well, have the player get their feet wet, and then be able to go a bit further with the second stage. That is sort of how the game follows its design. Something I really liked was how much more open the second stage is compared to the first. It's also here where it presents more of that classic design, as you need to find a set of keys to open up a set of doors to be able to get to the end of the level. You have a larger scale here, feels more earned having this be the second location, over it being the first because of how the first stage goes being more direct and smaller. Then it becomes a key hunt, and the environment even plays around with this too, with how you can see more of it, and this also relates to the secrets you find. For example, at one point I saw that there was a large armor set, but I didn't have an idea of how to actually obtain it. This sort of presents a secondary objective for me to identify, and then creates that want for me to then search it out and figure out how to grab it. This allowed for fun situations into looking and trying to find someplace off the beaten path that would allow me to reach that position. Moments like this are generally combat free and just come down to fun navigation of the level, and having some of that figuring it out type of design. Now, Anomalous is very fun, but I do have some flaws that I found along the way too. One big thing you will notice, and it might seem a little odd to bring this up, is how certain things in the environment will sort of stop you in your tracks. This game is very fast with its movement speed. You sort of zip and quickly move around the environment, and then you will feel like you hit a pebble in the road and your character will just stop moving. If you look at the terrain, it will have just this minor bump, and at times you hit these things and it just stops, where it would naturally feel like you should just walk right over them and not halt your movement at all. This is an odd thing to mention, but in some of the levels I would encounter this more, and it would annoy me whenever it popped up. Along with this, I do think that the enemy AI could use a bit of a bump. There are many times while playing this game where enemies will just stop and not engage you at all. This can be pretty entertaining and have that fun value of jank to it. But it is really noticeable at times, even when you shoot at an enemy and they don't even want to attack you. The enemy variety is pretty good, with a nice mixture of gunmen, range fighters, and melee attackers. They just need to be a touch smarter in spots. I also found the game to be pretty challenging. I mostly appreciated this, and it does then fall in line with its old school design. But at the same time, it felt like there could have been better placement of armor and health pickups too. In level 3, there were points where I was very low on health. I was on easy or normal, and I was still finding it pretty tough to get through parts of the level, especially some of the later jumping pad parts. This is an area that I think would hopefully get improved upon through more playtesting and patching as well. I can only imagine the hard line to find between keeping your game challenging while also having it not be cheap at times. From the shooting, kicking, smacking, jumping, and overall speed, Anomalous is fun, really fun. You fight a wide variety of enemies. The level variety brings it both visually and in what you'll be doing. Some are more linear and some have wider spaces. Some might even circle back on themselves and then have you explore the same area but from a different point of view, like with vertical options. The game also knows how to sell some of these nice moments of gaining a new weapon as well, almost like a fun set piece. Visually, I like how the game seems to be inspired by many 80s properties, because it just looks 80s-like. Dirty and rough at times, and it feels lived in too. This developer certainly gets it. The foundation is there, the game is fun. I just think it needs a bit more as it pertains to some of the polish. But even with it being rough in spots, again, the most important thing is the game fun to play? Yes, it is. And when you have a game like that, I will always go to bat for it. I do think that this title might go under the radar a bit, with the large amount of new indie shooters coming out, and we are practically swimming in a sea of indie boomer shooters. It feels like every other day there's one coming out that you need to check out, so do not ignore this one. I would recommend giving it a try. Have you played Anomalous? If so, what are your thoughts on it? What are some other new indie shooters that you have been enjoying? Maybe ones that I should feature on my channel? Let me know all of this in the comments down below. If you're interested in supporting the channel, please check out my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you can help to keep this channel going strong, and this allows me to be able to do more for my awesome audience. Please check out the links in the description and pinned comment for ways to support the channel. And most of all, thank you very much for watching.